Look, I'm not crazy. I know how this is going to sound, but I swear it's true. You don't have to believe me. Hell, I wouldn't believe me if I hadn't been there. But I need to tell someone, and you're the only person I can trust with this. Just promise you'll hear me out, okay? It all started about a month ago. I was going through a rough patch, work was crap, and I'd just gone through a nasty breakup. I was restless, needed a break, so I took a weekend off and headed to this little cabin I'd rented a few times up in the mountains. It's remote, real quiet, barely any cell service. A good place to disconnect and just breathe, you know? The first day was perfect. I hiked, took some photos, spent the evening by the fire with a few beers. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could finally relax. By the time night rolled around, I was dead tired. I crawled into bed, fell asleep almost instantly. But then, around 3 a.m., something woke me up. You know that feeling, right? Like someone's watching you, or there's a sound that shouldn't be there? I lay there in bed, listening, and at first, I thought it was just the wind outside. But then I heard a scrape, like something scratching against the window. Now, let me paint the picture for you. This cabin is smack in the middle of the woods, so there's no way it was someone messing with me. No other cabins nearby, no neighbors. Just trees, as far as you could see. So, naturally, I thought maybe an animal had gotten curious and was poking around. I got up, grabbed my flashlight, and shone it toward the window. Nothing. Just trees, shadows, and the faint glint of the moonlight. I told myself it was probably a branch scraping against the glass, went back to bed, and tried to fall asleep. But just as I was dozing off, I heard it again, louder this time. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It was like nails on a chalkboard, slow and deliberate. This wasn't some random animal, it was purposeful. I got up, heart pounding, and this time I went to the window and looked outside. And that's when I saw, well, I'm still not sure what I saw. It was this figure, barely visible in the moonlight, crouched by the edge of the trees. It was hunched over, arms long, almost dragging along the ground, with this twisted, unnatural shape. I couldn't make out a face, but I knew, it was staring at me. I should have shut the curtains, should have backed away, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, frozen, watching it as it watched me. And then, it started to crawl forward, slowly, each step bringing it closer to the cabin. I could hear the crunch of leaves, the snap of twigs under its hands, or maybe they were claws. I don't know. I wasn't sticking around to find out. I snapped out of it, backed away from the window, and locked the door. My mind was racing. I thought maybe I was still dreaming, or maybe I'd lost it completely. But the scratching kept coming, now from the front door. Scratch, scratch, like it was testing, waiting. I grabbed the only weapon I had, a hunting knife I'd brought along for camping. I sat on the floor, knife in hand, staring at the door, my heart racing with every little noise. I must have sat there for an hour, maybe two, just waiting. I couldn't even breathe. Finally, just as dawn started to break, the scratching stopped. The silence was worse, somehow, like it was a trick, a trap, waiting for me to make a move. I didn't dare. I stayed right there, frozen, until the sun was fully up, and the cabin was bathed in light. When I finally worked up the nerve to go outside, there were marks on the door. Deep, jagged grooves, like something had been dragging claws across it. They were fresh, and they were real. I know what I saw, what I heard. But the worst part? The footprints. They weren't like any animal prints I'd ever seen. They were long, narrow, with deep impressions where the claws would have been, leading from the trees right up to the cabin door. But the strangest part? They didn't lead away. I packed up and got the hell out of there. I didn't stop driving until I was miles from the mountains. And I haven't been back since.